this month in Parliament, staying strong with more bills and motions passed and rejected.
Further clarifications concerning Space Invader 11's ban released.
And newcomer-friendly changes to the creative worlds Calidia and Gardelia. I'm Perfect Trains in One North.
And I am CM Raiders in One North. This is Newsroom WolvHaven and it starts now. But first, here's the news that we missed from last month. Once again, Newsnet would like to apologize for the lack of production of the April 2021 edition of Newsnet. And here is a quick catch-up on last month's news.
Celebrations for WolvHaven's 10th anniversary kicked off successfully on the 3rd of April, with many community-engaged activities organised by the Ministry for Culture and Foreign Affairs, and other members of the community, such as several competitions with prizes, paintball with new maps, the installation of the new art museum, as well as the opening of the Fifth Haven's Capital monorail to go along with a new custom train cast model resource pack.
The new C-Series Metro Plus tickets completed transition on the 7th of April, phasing out its predecessor, the long-in-place B-Series tickets.
More details on WolvHaven's migration to a new wiki announced by owner Silverwolf. The newly set up wiki custodian team are to ensure a clean and smooth transition to a new self-hosted server.
On to this month's news for Parliament. The Senate Hansard bill proposed by Minister for Affairs Quartzi was passed unanimously, intending to set regular meetings up for the Senate, as well as a way for the parliamentary service members to record a Hansard of each session.
The bill was met with a lot of positivity from MPs and the community, striving to see the Senate function properly, hopefully eliminating the backlog of past House bills that have yet been seen by a Senate.
The Jukebox Music Plugin bill by Quartzi, as well as Senator and former MP for the CFD Matthias Binotto, also known as Plank, was proposed, or rather reintroduced, from July 2020 of the last Parliament term. The bill has the simple aim of implementing a plugin that allows non-Minecraft songs to be played in-game.
Initially, Minister for Creative Affairs Bob Obama and System Admin for Development Commission _11 voiced their concerns about adding unnecessary plugins and the need to convert songs into a MIDI format, to which the bill's proposers called for a probationary period that would allow the plugin to at least be tested to see if it's loaded on the server.
President Silverwolf detailed the process needed for DevCom to try the plugin on WolvHaven's test server, citing it as a process, quote, not as simple as just doing a copy-paste, ultimately supporting underscores technical standpoints and calling the plugin just, quote, another fad. Despite this, the bill was passed with 4 ayes and 2 nays.
The MP Edition bill proposed by General MP Gravity Duke aimed it to increase the number of General MPs within the House of Representatives, doubling the number from 3, which is the current number of General MPs, to 6.
Generally, other members of Parliament and the community seemed to disagree with the need for such a bill, or agreed that the bill in its current state needed some amendments. The bill went into voting with 1 aye, 5 nays, and 1 abstaining, resulting in the bill being negated. A motion to rename the Among Us channel, created following the trend of playing the popular game Among Us within the WolvHaven community, was proposed by independent Imperial Bloc.
The motion was intended to change the name of the channel to a more appropriate general name for party games, as well as to prevent the Among Us memes from flooding the channel and kept within the hashtag meme/channel. The motion was successfully passed with 4 ayes.
A motion to change the method of counting for future elections from a single transferable vote system to an alternative vote system was proposed by Election Committee member Sambros, who was involved with the counting of votes for this parliamentary term's election.
The motion was met with initial confusion about the implementation of the new counting system and what exactly would change upon implementation, should the motion have passed. During the voting, the motion initially received 2 ayes, 2 nays, with 3 abstentions, resulting in the Speaker having to break with a tie, with a final nay negating the motion. And these are the bills and motions to look out for next month's edition of Newsroom.
The full release of February 2021 results motion,
Pangaea Spawn Cleanup Bill,
the additional polling station bill,
and finally the Egg Protection Bill.
On to the non-parliamentary news. Controversy surrounded the news of Space Invader 11's permanent ban, relating to repeated public nuisance. Further clarification of the ban was given by Silverwolf, who had issued the ban.
He stated that the ban was a result of Space Invader 11's negative outward behaviour towards other players, and not related to another incident of poor behaviour in the #politics channel, which had resulted in Discord server kick. Silverwolf further clarified that punishments issued in these cases were typically not forbearing for a certain view, but rather the way they were expressed.
In an effort to discourage toxicity and encourage civil discussion, Silverwolf reiterated in his post that members of the community may reach out to the staff to deal with such cases with utmost confidentiality.
More announcements from owner Silverwolf include a revamp of the Gardelia and Calidia rules, previously separated rules that had caused the community, as well as new players vying for build rights, confusion. The new rules for both worlds were revamped into a slightly more concise and general clearer unified code, was released to the public on the 13th.
The corresponding test that enables players to obtain building rights for creative worlds, should they pass, was also updated. The test is now shorter, but with a higher pass mark of 80%. Usenet encourages all players to read through the new code to ensure that they are up to date with the latest rules. Those were not the only changes directed at helping newcomers integrate into WolvHaven. Visitors will now be able to visit other worlds apart from WolvHaven City, but will not be able to build.
They now also have the ability to use /TP-accept and /TP-deny, and will also be able to play paintball with fellow members.
Still ahead on Newsroom.
The end dimension finally implemented.
New promotions for the staff team.
And finally, finishing off with Owner Silverwolf's 2021 State of the Server address. Stay tuned.
I was born to be free.
On to our segment for #AskNewsNet, where we answer your questions. And this month we have received one question submitted by Pro of Survival. And this question is, can a staff be hypothetically ousted from office or their position? So, first of all, we must establish that following the changes made to Parliament earlier this year, all staff are barred from holding a position in the House, and all staff are now part of the Senate. The only reason a staff member would be dismissed from their position as senator would be if they were dismissed from their position as a staff member. So, to go back to your question, yes, a member of staff could hypothetically be ousted from their position. Such a case would only really happen if something were to happen. Say, for example, a a member of staff does something gravely wrong with very large malintent, and whether they are dismissed or not will be subject to Silverwolf and possibly, likely, the other admins. This is only an example, though, and there may be other scenarios that may lead to such a situation. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for submitting one. Back to the stories. On the 15th, DevCom system admin _11 announced the implementation of the End World, a long-requested addition by the WolvHaven community. Players will now be able to fight the Ender Dragon boss, obtain a dragon egg, and explore the End Dimension, enabling End blocks to be found naturally.
Separately, the last of the changes implemented over the month was the expansion of the laboratory world, from having a radius of 2 km to 4 km, effectively quadrupling the available space for players to build and experiment with.
Moving on to some more staff-oriented changes. An official announcement made by owner Silverwolf of the introduction of 2 new members of staff came to on the 8th. The 2 new helpers, Perfect Trains and Willem 59, who now add up to make the total number of staff 21. Perfect will now be working under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, whereas Wilhelm will be working under the Ministry for Culture and Foreign Affairs. Newsnet would like to give their congratulations to new staff members. Finally, to finish off this month's coverage, 2 days ago, President and owner Silverwolf made his address to the server, covering a wide array of topics ranging from WolvHaven's 10th anniversary to issues relating to toxicity, how the staff team is changing and adapting for the better, future and currently implemented changes, and conclusively thanking the community for contributions as well as assurances for a greater future. The entire 2021 State of Server address can be viewed on the official WolvHaven channel. The 2020 WolvHaven census results were also released following the address. There were 57 responses collected over around a 3.5-month period. Joining us now is census designer and data compiler, admin with the Ministry for Internal Affairs Quoxalon, dubbed by Grass Jelly. Welcome to Newsroom, and thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. First question, why did you conduct the WolvHaven census?
Well, for me, it started as an opportunity to practice and improve my own academic research skills, with the side effect of getting to know the backgrounds, personalities, needs, and wants of WolvHaveners in a more organized, systematic, and privacy-centric way than is possible by just recording casual conversations, whether in-game or on Discord, / the all forums. But over time, it became a player feedback and data analytics tool, exploited by staff to gather, potentially controversial, opinions, viewpoints, praises, complaints. Useful to know in depth about the current state of the server, our player base, to identify weak points that could potentially obliterate our community if left unchecked, to chart the course of the server's future development with confidence and compromise, all the while sacrificing the free time of a certain fast-talking admin to entertain everyone with charts upon charts every year.
I see. It must indeed take quite a lot of time to sift through all the data and assemble it in such a way that looks so neat and presentable, even with comments and little analyses. Did you find anything surprising in the results, or was it what you expected?
Most of the final results confirmed what we had already expected, though there are interesting points that weren't. Here are some highlights from the player demographics section. Firstly, it seems that the weekend mornings in Singaporean time are now the time slot with the highest from potential numbers of players logged in. Secondly, the proportions of WolvHaveners who play City Skylines and/or Roblox are much larger than previously anticipated. Thirdly, it seems that the average age of players who answer the census has risen to 16 to 17 years of age, high school age. As for the public opinion survey, almost everyone agrees that the current WH player base is sustainable, or could be kept alive with the right effort applied, despite dwindling player activity following the easement of COVID-19 lockdowns. What is particularly intriguing is that almost everyone acknowledges the persistent problem of toxicity in our community, but they all have differing personal opinions of toxicity. And when it comes to experiencing toxicity, There's a lot of survivorship bias coming from the responses.
That's interesting to hear from the player base. This data could prove to be very useful. And will you be using this data in the future governance of WolvHaven, or perhaps is there anything else you could be using this data for?
The information extracted from the annual WH census rounds have been among the primary sources of evidence for driving management, marketing, and executive decisions by service staff for quite some time now. Census data isn't meant to solve problems or enforce rules and regulations by itself, but rather to support what we have already been contemplating all the while. That said, we are currently considering to conduct further analyses of previous census data over the years to identify significant trends over the evolution of our server and community. Trends that could both formulate a history database for our incredibly old server and also empower our staff to predict and respond to server changes and challenges in the near future.
That will be all for today. Thank you again, Quoxalon, as well as to Grass Jelly for dubbing. And that will be all for this month's edition of Newsroom. Thank you for watching.